Hey guys, welcome back. I know it's been a while since I last uploaded a video. It's just under a month. I kind of thought it'd be time to talk about my diagnosis of BPD and how it affects me and what it is in general. So I'm just going to say this is not going to cover everything. It's going to talk about my experience, my personal experience, what BPD is, and it's not going to cover everyone else's experience. It's just going to really cover mine. So let's start with what is BPD. Borderline personality disorder is what BPD stands for. It's a type of personality disorder that you could be diagnosed with if you have difficulties on how you think and feel about yourself and others, and if it makes it difficult to cope on a day-to-day basis. It is important to remember that every borderline, we call ourselves borderlines, it's weird, every borderline experiences BPD differently. We can experience emotions that are very intense, overwhelming, unchanging, or even relationships and a sense of identity, and some have both. People have very different views on BPD, and there are ongoing debates about the diagnosis. Some find a BPD diagnosis helpful or validating, whereas others find it unhelpful and stigmatizing. I will go into a bit about both and to why it can be stigmatizing and why it can be helpful and why it's validating and why it can be unhelpful. So when is BPD diagnosed and what are the symptoms? You often get the diagnosis of BPD if you have at least 5 of the following symptoms and that they've lasted a long time and have a big impact on your daily life and the way you live. So, you have to have obviously 5 of the 9. The 9 symptoms are fear of abandonment, intense mood swings, unclear or shifting self-image, unstable relationships, chronic feeling of emptiness, impulsive self-destructive behaviors, self-harm and suicidal ideation, intense and explosive anger, and paranoia or dissociation. Now, I'm going to go into each one a little bit to explain it. So the fear of abandonment is like being worried that people are going to leave you, even if they haven't given any sign that they will leave you. And borderlines often give in everything to that relationship to try and stop that person from leaving. And more often than not, we push them away. Well, personally, I do. Intense mood swings. So these, obviously, mood swings, we know what those are. The reason why I say intense is because they can change within minutes or can last hours. Such as feeling happy and confident to suddenly low and sad. Personally, for experience of that with me was today. I woke up this morning, didn't feel great, and now I'm feeling confident enough to share my life with BPD on YouTube, and it's going to be up forever. Unstable relationships, often viewing relationships as completely perfect or completely bad. This is what I said. The worst part about BPD for me is the insecure relationships. When I'm attached to someone, they're my whole world, and it's crippling. I care so deeply about how long they take to reply or their tone because I'm afraid of losing them. I will I will read into every single message from people. I read into messages with Ollie. I read into them with Aiden. I read into them with every guy I've ever liked. And it's just the way I am. Chronic feelings of emptiness. Yeah, empty, numb, things like that. Just feeling empty and numb and that you have no purpose. Impulsive or self-destructive behaviors. Those are binge eating, substance use, dangerous driving, and impulse spending. Self-harm and suicidal ideation and suicidal attempts. That's kind of summarizes itself. Intense and explosive anger. It's really difficult to control that. Like, you can go from being chill and like that to one person saying something and then you just snap and you just lose it on them. Paranoia or dissociation. Often that's in moments of extreme stress more than anything else. But yeah. And because you only need five of these to be given a diagnosis, it can be it's a very broad diagnosis, including a lot of people with a lot of different experiences. Those of us who have been diagnosed with BPD have different views on whether it's helpful. Some of us find it useful. Some of us obviously don't. Some of us finds it gives us validation. Some find it gives us more issues than positive sides. So yeah. Okay. So what is my personal experience with BPD? For me, mostly I kind of talk about. And I've made notes on all of this, by the way. So that's what I'm looking at. Um, for me, I've always like bottled up my emotions and I've tried to hide it until I explode. Um, and now I know about it and I can understand it. I still try and keep them hidden because I've been told I was overreacting, so I then feel trapped and I need to tell someone, but also not wanting to tell someone because I don't want to become a burden. Oh, this is sad. This bit sad. I often feel lonely and overwhelmed by the strength of my emotions and how quickly they change. But now, because I live independently, I don't have to hide it as much. If I want to cry, I will. And I kid you not, I got home from the hospital about 9 a.m. Tuesday morning, and the first thing I did, I was going to my pets, and they ran up to me, and I picked one of them up, and I cuddled him, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not going anywhere. I love you guys. I'm not going to leave you or try to leave you again. And I broke down crying while holding one of my pets. Sometimes I do feel like there's something inherently wrong with me, and I often blame myself if bad things happen. Yeah, that is true. Um, I blamed myself for February 2023. Like, it's not my fault, but I did. I blame myself for March 28th this year. Again, not my fault, but I blame myself. So they're like, feeling like I have no purpose as well. That happens a lot because I felt like I was forced to grow up too fast because I looked after my younger brother when he was born. And now I'm not looking after anyone but myself. I kind of felt like I had no purpose. I'm kind of filling that hole with pets. Um, this does actually often result in suicidal attempts. I mean, I've had three since June 17th. I had the one June 17th when I was down at the beach and I got taken to Cornhill. I had the one on July 17th where I was in hospital for 3-ish days, something like that. And then I had the one last night. And I was only in for 9 hours. But yeah. And it also results in me overspending. Yeah, I have spent over 400 odd quid on my pets. I have 4 pets now. I have 3 rabbits and a hamster. The rabbit that was stolen has now been returned. She was actually returned a week today, a week ago on Wednesday, but this is going to go up on Wednesday, so it's a week today. So I now have Ruby, Thumper, Otto the hamster, and Oakley. So it's the 3 rabbits. The 3 rabbits are Ruby, Thumper, and Oakley. But yeah, but those guys now are my main focus. I'm also trying to keep busy as well. Like, I've got people coming around all the time to keep busy so that I can avoid feeling alone. It's just the way it is, really. How does BPD affect relationships? It affects the way you feel and how you behave as a result. So, in wondering how it makes you think or feel, you can feel like your friends or partners will leave you forever if they're angry or upset with you. that people are judging you or thinking badly about you. Like no one understands you, or you're not like other people and will never be able to understand them. That people are either perfect and kind or bad and hurtful, and there's no middle ground. That's often called splitting or black and white thinking. Wanting to be close to people, but also feeling scared of close relationships. Like the world is a scary and dangerous place, and you want to run away and hide. Yeah, I used to feel like that a lot. So, in how you might behave, you can get very angry or frustrated with people, struggle to trust people, have abandonment issues, having unrealistic expectations of people or contacting them very frequently, wanting to be close to people but worrying they'll leave or reject you, so avoiding them or pushing them away, spending a lot of time thinking and worrying about things that other people say or do or how they say it, asking for lots of reassurance or testing people's commitment or opinion of you. Testing people's commitment I don't exactly know how to explain it, but yeah. Distancing yourself from people or ending relationships with friends or partners because you think they might leave you. Yes, a lot. Anxiously looking out for signs that people might reject you. I used to call that a fear of rejection, but clearly it's actually part of BPD. And I didn't know that. I used to say I just had a fear of rejection, but no. I was just undiagnosed with BPD and didn't even know it. So, comorbidities with BPD. So, there's cluster B personalities, which I have a lot of I'm not exactly sure how to explain it. One of my friends, Kayla, on TikTok would be able to tell you. But she's on my TikTok a lot. But with other mental health problems, so it's common to experience other mental health problems and experiences alongside BPD, which could include anxiety and panic attacks, depression, eating problems, dissociative disorders, psychosis or hearing voices, bipolar disorder, post traumatic stress disorder or complex post traumatic stress disorder, and sleep problems. If I was to list which of them I had, there would only be probably 1, 2, 3 that I don't have. Because I have anxiety, I have panic attacks, I have depression, I have dissociative disorders. I don't know really if I have dissociative disorders, to be fair, so maybe I don't have 4 of them. But I definitely have post traumatic stress, complex post traumatic stress, and sleep problems. Hence, I have a prescription of melatonin tablets. So, fun fact as to what causes BPD, there isn't a clear reason why some people have BPD. But fun fact, women are given this diagnosis more than men. There does need to be more research done to understand it, but it affects people of all genders and backgrounds. Researchers think that BPD is caused by a combination of factors, including stressful or traumatic events and genetic factors. So I'll go into both. So to start with, I'm going with stressful or traumatic events. So if you get BPD diagnosis, you're more likely than most people to have a difficult or traumatic experiences growing up, such as often feeling afraid, upset, unsupported, or invalidated. Family difficulties or instability, such as living with a parent or carer who experienced an addiction. Sexual, physical, or emotional abuse or neglect, or losing a parent. Yeah. So, difficult childhood experiences may cause you to develop particular coping strategies or beliefs about yourself and other people. These can become less helpful in time and cause you distress. You might also be struggling with feelings of anger, anxiety, and depression. You also might experience BPD without having any experience of traumatic or stressful life events, or you might have had other types of difficult experiences. This is a weird one because this is true for me. Because I don't have many memories of a healthy emotional behavior or relationships when I was a kid, I felt totally at sea dealing with the healthy relationships and things like that. Whenever I get let down, it just reinforces my belief that the world is full of bad people who won't be kind, like my parents. It sucks. You're also likely to get a diagnosis of BPD if someone in your close family also has one. This suggests that genetic factors could contribute, but we also know the environment we grow in and our early relationships can in fact impact the way we think, feel, and behave as adults. So it's difficult for researchers to know exactly how much of a role that genes play. But it's also possible that a combination of factors, genetics might make you more vulnerable to developing BPD, whereas stressful, difficult, or traumatic life experiences could then trigger them. More research is needed to understand this. I can't exactly say for certain which side of it is, but I will say I had a extremely traumatic and neglectful and abusive upbringing. So it's where mine kind of comes from, in my opinion, and where psychiatrists think. But it isn't just one traumatic event, it has to be a series of them to trigger BPD. Like cracking your head open, just doing that once as a kid and that being the only thing, that's not going to cause you BPD. But being neglected all the time, having to look after your own siblings, be forced to grow up to be an adult at 3 years old is probably what caused it for me. But yeah, there you go. There's a full-on video about BPD for you. Let me know what other type of videos you want me to do, because that one was actually quite fun because I got to research it a lot more than I did when I first got the diagnosis. Because I was a bit iffy about it, because I was like, I don't exactly know too much, so I'm going to go do a whole lot of research about it. And it was fun because I was reading a lot of articles about it, and I was like, some of these are wrong, some of them are right. So I only stuck to the ones I could see that were right. Like my personal experience are the ones I could understand. But yeah, there you go.